Around April 26, Denton High School assistant principal was recorded by parents repeatedly saying the N-word in relation to their child, telling them this assistant principal was saying that he didn't want to hear N-word music. But let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Parent, can I call you back?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye. Okay, so without naming names, this young man I was talking to.
No, I just want to know, did you say it, Mr. Palmer? Like,
Yeah, I'll tell you my exact words.
okay.
I said, turn the music down.
No.
I don't want to hear the word nigger in my office. Those are my exact
Now, were
words.
these? What did you say? Nigger music or?
Yes, you did.
No, excuse me.
Yes, you did.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm trying to talk to your dad right now.
I mean, you've already talked to her, and she said when you said it, then you closed the door
You wanted me to come
wanted
back
to
in
come
and-
back in here. And on top of that, that word shouldn't even be coming out of your mouth, Mr.
no.
Palmer. I mean, what was it? Since you know,
Well,
no, Mr. No.
Okay.
There's no.
I'll listen for a minute.
There's no explanation. Like you want me to be fine with you using that expletive to a student. A student was obviously upset because he told another student, and another student was upset. And you can't. I mean, what are we doing here?
Okay.
What are we doing here, Mr. Palmer?
Again, my exact words.
And hold on, before you go, what did Monty, let's hear the story from where you're coming from.
So we were in class and Monty had just told us that he got in trouble for leaving off campus for lunch. And I had kind of laughed at him like, ha, like that's what you get. Because he was upset. And he was like, no, I'm upset because Mr. Palmer just told me to turn my nigger music off. And I thought he was joking. And I was like, you swear that he said nigger music? And he said, yes. And that's when I came down here because I was outraged that a word like that would come out of your mouth. A person in a position of power at this school who's in charge of not only supposed to be directing people, but also you're in charge of giving punishments, directing the school. And so for you to be in charge of all that and feel that type of way, because towards what, rap music, basically?
And then what did he
Which is-
say? Well, okay, that's fine. And when you came down here, what did he say to you?
He said that he said it. And I was like, I can't.
Said what?
Nigger music.
So are we saying you don't want to hear the word, rap music that has the word nigger in it? Or did you say nigger music, Mr. Palmer?
I said,
Nigger music.
excuse me. Okay,
I mean, you want to, I just need to talk to your boss, Mr. Palmer. This is going to go way above, like, this is ridiculous. And, like, I can't believe that,
Call Monty down too.
you know, you're sitting here saying you're trying to change up these kids' words. My daughter pretty much heard what she heard. Rarely you said nigger, whatever, like you still said it. It shouldn't be like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but,
Okay.
so, okay. Wow. Yeah, this is bad, Mr. Palmer. Like, this is bad.
What I told.
I mean, we can. I mean, hey,
You've asked me to tell
I mean,
you.
there's no. I mean, Mr. Palmer, you're changing your words up. I mean, my daughter's telling me you said one way, you still said the word, and you're trying to give an explanation for it.
Can you come to my office, please?
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay. I'm not going to write this off to cultural differences or anything.
Yeah,
else.
hey, I'm done.
Okay.
There's no explanation, Mr. Palmer. Cultural differences, things like what are you talking about? I mean, you're old enough. You're old enough to know. You're over 50 years old, Mr. Palmer.
Hi.
You know what
Come on in.
what you did.
Can we help you?
Yeah, I did. Mr. Black, I'm glad you're here. So, my daughter called me pretty irate because she was in class. A student informed her that Mr. Palmer told him to turn his nigger music off. And she thought he was joking, came down here, asked Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer told her the same thing. She called me irate. Then I get up here, he's telling me that, oh, I said, I don't want to hear the music that has the word nigger in it. Mr. Palmer, you shouldn't be saying that anyway. You can just tell him to turn the music down. Mm-hmm. I mean, as I told him, Mr. Palmer is your father's age. He knows the impact, the meaning of that word. I don't want to hear ignorance. I don't want to hear cultural differences. you know the impact of what you did here.
I grew up with
And-
that word.
I totally know, Mr. Palmer, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have used it as an adjective to describe a category of music. That's what you did.
You know, that's
I mean-
okay.
Go ahead.
That's what you're hearing. What I told that young man is I don't want to hear the word nigger, and I don't want to hear music with the word nigger.
Well, you shouldn't be using that word. If the music was a problem to you, Mr. Palmer, you could have just had him said, "Hey, turn the music down," and then you try to chalk the use of the word up to cultural differences, or that's what I'm perplexed by, because you're old enough. You're old enough to know the impactfulness of that word. You're, like my daughter said, you're an educator here. You use that type of word, so that only could lead me to believe that you have some type of racist feelings. I mean, that's all I could really say. Like, I'm blown away right now. You know, that there's a principal here that chooses to use that type of language to African American students in that context. I don't know if I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. So I need to speak to someone. This kid Monty was in here previously. I don't know. Where do I need to go? Because at this point, I really have no more words for Mr. Palmer, because he's trying to give me an excuse of why he chose to use that type of epithet.
I know our principal, he's a social.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can meet with you, but we're about to have bus duty here. I mean, we can set up a meeting for Monday, and you can meet with me and our principal.
Yeah, this needs to be handled more swiftly. You have a guy on your staff that chooses to use racial epithets to children. That's a serious matter that I don't think needs to be.
I don't even know what the whole story is.
Well, you need to hear the story, sir. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's no need to sweep this under the rug, and that sounds like what you're trying to do, to sweep it under till Monday. I need to speak to somebody actually above you at this point.
The guy that's above him, I just get back from a funeral, and he's not gonna be in here today. Something happened in his family, so he had a family emergency. So that's the principal. So he's out of office. Legitimate reason out of the office.
Okay.
I mean, I can meet with you.
And he's not,
No, I'm done with you too. What's the principal's name?
Joel Hayes.
Joe Hayes. Okay.
I would like to hear the story, but I don't know it.
Well, in a nutshell, your principal's here using racial epithets. Well, go ahead, Tasia. You go ahead and tell the story again.
Can I meet with you in my office so I can actually take notes on it?
Oh, sure. Come on, Latasia. Yes, let's
So I
go.
can get notes and
So Howard Palmer is the assistant principal's name. He was fired on May the 7th after they conducted an investigation. I mean, he's clearly saying it over and over and over. Now, he's claimed that he didn't want to hear the N-word in any kind of music. Okay. Now, you know good and well, if you listen to hip hop or whatever kind of music that we listening to, they don't use the ER, they use the A. So you're the one saying that mess. You just want to say it. I know you say it a lot. I'm pretty sure when you got suspended, you was calling black folks a lot of N's that night. I know you was. And then you got fired. I know, oh boy, you really was calling black folks N-words. You probably on all the racist websites going in on black people right now. Because that's exactly how you probably get down based off of the way you're talking. But yes, you got some of them that's bold, ladies and gentlemen. And people throughout the world that's watching, this is the real America. And it's not just Trump that brought all this out. This is just who they always are. And we have been telling you guys this forever. And now with the great thing of the connection of the world through the internet, you get to see everything they have been concealing. Because you think about it. The mainstream media do not report stories like this to you. They don't. And if they do, it's going to be very minimized. Because you have to understand, they are the fourth estate. They're part of the government too. It's just not said they're part of the government, but they are. So they toe the line. They don't want to expose the truth of what we go through and what we deal with in the United States of America. Our kids are always dealing with problems. At the age of 10, black children, especially black males, are viewed as older and is viewed as more aggressive. And they don't give us, our children at 10 years old, the same thing they give a white male child at 10. You understand what I'm saying? All the things that they have about black male children, especially more so than female, why are we as black parents even have our kids in those schools? I don't understand that. Time after time after time, we have shown and proven that our children don't need to be in their schools. They need to either go to an Afrocentric school that you could find, or a private institution that we're running, or homeschool. And I'm so glad I don't have my child in no public school. I refuse to. My child's school has nothing but teachers that look like her, no racial issues. It's no problem. None at all. Because every time we try to go to school with them, we got to be hearing the N-word. We got to be watching people with Trump hats. We got to hear all the mess that we hear constantly. That's what we have to deal with. And then they want to come in and make little comments saying, oh, well, what if we say that? Well, every time you say that, you follow with violence, hate, and everything else. We only saying that because we don't want to experience any your violence and your hate. That's all. We don't take issues in no group of people. The majority of black folks, we don't. We can get along with everybody. Matter of fact, the sad part is black people beg to be a friend to everybody. But people don't accept black people like that. So for me, I'm a firm believer of minimizing much as possible. I'm not saying I don't understand the reality of it, but you know, sometimes, like I said, your children, especially young, I don't want to put them in a situation that has a school to prison pipeline. But yet, every time I look at some universities or even some elementary school, high schools that are run by us, they don't have no school to prison pipeline in there. They don't, because they're just trying to teach our children. So if you can, ladies and gentlemen, make an informed decision for the sake of your children. They're not going to protect your child. Look at what happened in Denver the other day. Another school shooting done by who? You know who. And our children is just, should be gambled with. That's how I feel about that. The race soldiers are just beating our kids. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in these schools. It is not a viable place for black children to learn. How could you learn? You're under stress from the police, teachers treating you any kind of way, teachers suspend you more than any other group for any little thing that's been proven, especially when it comes to black males. Why would we even subject our children to that kind of treatment? It goes back on us at the end of the day, more so than it goes on the children or even the school or the police or whatever. It goes on us. You know they're treating your kids any kind of way. Why would you subject them to that? Well, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story. But these people are bold with it, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very bold with it. But as I stated before, I prefer my races open. I love them open because that way I know exactly what I'm dealing with.